Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Well, I've done it. I've selected the bike I'm going to have for the next couple of years. I have been through at least a half a dozen bikes. We're going to run through what those are in a second. I needed to tell you guys the story about why I have done what I've done, why it's taken me so long to find a bike, problems that I've had, etc, etc. So I'm going to try and keep this as quick as I possibly can, but so basically I test rode probably 5 or 6 bikes, and what I was looking for was something that had some modern tech on it, things like traction control and ABS and all the other bits and pieces, all the bells and whistles that you could get on a bike. But I was still interested in Lamb's bikes for 2 reasons. One was the fact that they're cheaper to register here in New Zealand, they're cheaper to insure here in New Zealand, and the other thing was that they're also more miserly on gas. Now, I was listening to Old Man Ronan just this morning, and he was turning around and saying to people, oh, you know, we're up to $4 a gallon for fuel. Well, I hate to tell you this, buddy, but here in New Zealand at the moment, we're looking at nearly $3 a litre. There's 3.7 litres to a US gallon. So we are most definitely paying a lot more for our fuel at this point. So like him, I'm looking for an economic option to be able to run around on as well, and I don't really want to have a hulking great 1200cc. Even when I do get my full license this year, I don't want to have a hulking great 1200cc motorcycle to have to try and fill up. So I was looking for something that was between a 14 and a 22 litre fuel tank, but I wanted, you know, maybe 4.5 litres per 100 k's out of the bike. So the bikes I test rode were the Honda CB500X. The reason I decided not to take that one was because I felt that the price on it was quite high, considering what you actually get on it. You get non-switchable ABS, you don't get bash plates, you don't get pannier racks, you don't get engine guards, you don't get hand guards, you don't get heated grips, you get nothing on that bike basically except for ABS, and it's costing here in New Zealand around about 13,000 bucks, just shy of $13,000. KTM 390 Adventure, well, that was a fantastic little bike, but I did find that you had to keep the revs up quite high off-road, and that the bike was very vibey when you're trying to overtake on the road. But it did have some really cool tech. It was the only one out of all the bikes that I test rode that actually had ABS and traction control. The next one that I rode was the Royal Enfield Himalayan, and I loved that bike. Switchable ABS, came with engine protectors, and it came with bash plate and a centre stand and all the things that you needed for an adventure bike. It was brilliantly smooth, the clutch was really light and lovely to use, but it's only 24 horsepower, and trying to get that bike to 100 kilometres an hour, or if I had to overtake a vehicle at 90 kilometres an hour, trying to actually get the speed up enough to be able to overtake, that was a bit of an issue. Apart from that, I loved that bike. The Royal Enfield Interceptor was another one that I had a go at. Brilliant, lovely bike, one of the best road bikes I've ever ridden in my life. The main problem, and that had ABS on it, but it wasn't off-road worthy, which sort of just took it out of the running for me, as much as I loved the bike. And if I could have afforded to have an adventure bike and a road bike, you know, $20,000 or $25,000, then I would have done that. Not to say that they each cost that, but certainly they cost that together. So that was sort of out of the running. The other one was the Benelli TRK 502, which by the time you get this video, that one will be uploaded as well. So all of these bikes, bar the Honda CB500X, will be on my channel for you to be able to go and have a look to see what I'm thinking while I'm thinking it. Now Benelli was great, and I loved the bike right up until I stood up off-road. I would have bought that bike in 2 seconds if I had been able to wrap my legs around that tank. Benelli really stuffed up when it came to the shape of that tank, and the ridges on the tank would dig into my thighs when I'm trying to do the off-road section. So it's a sitting down only bike, and that's the only way that you can do it, is sitting down. And that for me wasn't an option, because I go on four-wheel drive tracks and single tracks and things like that, and I couldn't use that bike for that because I couldn't stand up to be able to maneuver the bike around. The last one was, I've owned for the last year and a half a Suzuki V-Strom. It's the A2 compliant, or the LAMS version, so it's full torque at 60 Newton meters, but they tap it back to 47 Newton meters, 47 horsepower. So for me though, that's more than adequate. I only ever go one up. My partner's not interested in going two up on a motorcycle, so I only ever go one up. It stores all of my gear. I'd put pannier racks on it and a whole bunch of other bits and pieces. So the major problem that I had is it had no ABS, it had no traction control, and you have to wait a while to be able to get parts now here in New Zealand, because the bike's a 2005, so it's getting a bit older. So I was a little bit worried about how long that would continue. I've since been assured that the supply of even genuine parts here in New Zealand is although they've got to order them, we can always get them. So without further ado, I think that I should reveal to you guys which bike I chose out of all of those bikes, from varying costs, from $13,000 through to around about $7,800. I think the new Royal Enfield Himalayan 2022 version is $8,500. So I finally chose which one of these bikes I'm going to have for the next couple of years. So if you hold tight, I'll get the bike out and then you can have a look at it. Alright, see you soon. Okay, you ready for this? So I haven't even cleaned it. Since the last time I took it out. So at any rate, without further ado, here it is. It's my 2005 Suzuki V-Strom. So why did I choose this over all the new bikes? Well, it was kind of, none of the bikes actually had everything that I wanted. All of them had something wrong with them, including this one. But this one here cost me $4,700. Now I'm fairly confident with the stuff that I've put on it, I could get about $6,500 for this bike now. So with all the work that I'd done to it, and I'll run over what that's been, it was very frustrating for me, because every time I'd fix something, something else would go wrong. But this bike is an older bike and I had to replace a lot of parts. So when I first got the bike, the cam chains and the cam chain tensioners all had to be done. Then the starter and the starter solenoid went. The start button went on it, so I had to replace all of those. The clutch and so the clutch went, the clutch cable went, the clutch screw tensioner went on it. So all of those have been replaced. It's had new chain, new sprockets, it's had new tyres, and it's had new levers. So as you can see here, I've got these really cool V-Strom levers. I actually got them off AliExpress and they work really, really well. I also have these hand guards that I've added to the vehicle as well. I have put a USB charger here. I put a wireless charger on there for my phone, which works in the rain, so I don't have to worry about shorting anything out. So I've put all of that on there, and I put all of that on myself. I've learned so much about motorcycles working on this bike. So the the fact of the matter was I'd spent so much time and money on this bike. I've put all of these, I've put the Givi racks on, I've put the crash bars on. Those are going to get changed out very shortly. I'm getting some different ones to put on there and a bash plate to be able to put under there. It cost me $300. I've already got a center stand there, so I basically didn't need anything on this bike. It did everything that I wanted it to do. The only thing was that it was missing a couple of fandangled features, and I figured since I've got everything I need for touring on this bike now, I don't really, I've got heated grips and all sorts of stuff on there. So now that I have everything that I need on this bike, what's the point in going out and spending another $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 to buy another bike? So I thought, right, I'm just going to keep the one that I've got. I'm going to keep it in good condition, unlike the previous owners, and this bike is going to be my bike for the next couple of years. At that point, I'll have done a few property developments and a few other bits and pieces, and I'll go out and I'll buy myself a new bike. But everything you can think of has been done on this one, even down to the brakes. Everything has been done on this bike. So what's the point in doing all of that and letting somebody else enjoy all my hard work? So the things that you're going to see on there very soon is there's going to be some Motec crash bars, Motec bash plate on it, and some foot pegs, which I'm also getting in the very near future. They don't actually replace the aluminium foot peg that's on there at the moment. So you might be able to see that I'm wearing stuff on my leg. I've just had an operation to be able to correct my knee. I got hit by a car a while ago. I've had 2 operations now to try and fix my knee after somebody was kind enough to be texting and driving, so don't do that. So we just have some foot pegs to replace, and that bash plate, the crash bars, and then this bike is good to go. And I'll have this for at least another couple of years. It's presently done just over 70,000 Ks. I've heard of these bikes doing hundreds of thousands of kilometers. So I've still got a lot of life left in it yet, and I've decided that this is the bike that I'm going to keep. It also means that if I drop it, as you can see, it's got a few scratches and things on the bike. It's not a new bike, and that's a wonderful thing for me because I do drop it occasionally. And when I drop it, who cares? It's already got scratches and dings and dents, so I'm not worried about what the bike is going to look like. Whereas if I had a new one, I know that it would hurt me every time I drop the bike on a trail somewhere. So anyway, this is the bike for me for the next couple of years. It's the best out of all of the bikes that I test rode for what I actually need to be doing. Had the least shortfalls. Has a good solid reliable engine now that I've gone through and I've done a whole bunch of maintenance on it. I've also done little things like this bash plate under here for the radiator. There's another little one under there for that one. So I've gone out and just protected the bike a little bit better. I've got pannier bags for those pannier racks, and I've got a top box as well. So pretty happy with the way that this thing's going now that I've fixed it all up. But I have, believe it or not, I have another review. Not just another review, but another bike reveal. So I'm going to reveal that bike, and then I'll do another review on that bike once I can get back on bikes again to do reviews. And you might be surprised what it is, because I figured, I'm not going out and spending a whole bunch of money on an extra bike. So why not go and find myself just a little toy to be able to play around town on? And you might be quite surprised. So let me get that one out, and I can run over the bike real quick for you. Okay, so because I wasn't spending the thousands and thousands of dollars that I was going to have to do to buy a new bike, I thought, well, why not do thousands and thousands of dollars to buy a completely separate little bike? So back 2 years ago when I started riding, I got hit by a car. As I was just explaining to you guys, I was on my motorcycle, somebody was texting, they T-boned me, wrote my bike off, and I loved that little bike, and I missed that little bike. And another one came up for sale just a couple of weeks after I decided to keep the V-Strom. And I got a couple of, I'm a salesman, and I got a couple of commissions in, and I was like, oh, man, that bike's still up for sale. So I thought, why not? And I went out and I bought it. So what is it? Ta-da! So this is it. This was my first bike. This is a bit of a reincarnation. My first bike was a 2007. This is 2005. This is a 2007. You can see it's not in the best condition. It's had a bit of a hard life. They were both a bit dusty from just sitting in the garage for the last few while I've been recovering. But the idea is that for now I'm going to black it all out, as you can see from all of this stuff down here, and I've blackened everything out across here because the chrome was all peeling off and rusting. So I thought I'll go and black it out, and I'm going to do the engine as well, so I'll black all of that out, and it should look like a real sleek little machine when it's finished. But this is called a Hyosung. It's an Aquila, not Aquila as some people say, Aquila, Spanish for Screaming Eagle. It's a 250cc V-twin, and what an awesome little bike it's been for me. This one here, unlike the previous version, is a little bit bigger. So instead of a 247cc bore, it's a 249cc bore. What does that actually mean in the grand scheme of things? You think, oh, only a couple of cc, but you got to think these bikes aren't very big. So it actually gave it an extra 2 horsepower. So 250cc. Now when you're looking at the Royal Enfields, look at the Himalayan. It's a 411cc and it's 24 horsepower. This is 28.3 horsepower. 28.3, 14 litre fuel tank. I get 500 kilometres out of one tank of gas. I bought the little saddlebags for it, and the pannier racks that those go on to. So I bought the saddlebags and everything for it. I'm just busy doing a few other little bits and pieces to it, but 249cc, top speed is exactly the same as the Royal Enfield Himalayan of 130 kilometres an hour. It will do that, not as an indicated speed, but as a proper GPS speed. I put this little thing on the front here to be able to just sort of take some of that buffeting off me and stop some of that push that I was getting when I was riding down the road. These are cheap as chips to maintain. They're about 3.2 litres per 100 k's. They have perfectly adequate suspension for just riding around. Anything up to sort of 45 minutes to an hour at a time, this thing is absolutely perfect. Sits on the open road at 110 kilometers an hour, and so I just bought it as a little round town commuter. It cost me 2,000 New Zealand dollars, which is around about 1,200 bucks US, and I just didn't see that I could go wrong with it. It's one that I'm going to eventually, I'll re-chrome the whole thing and get it looking like it did when it was brand new, but in the meantime I'll black it all out and just sort of make it look like a bit of a stealthy machine. You will notice that on the front here, these are normally chromed out, but I've actually done that in black because I was finding that the sun would hit the chrome and then reflect back in my face, and I couldn't see anything. So I was riding the bike with my head cocked out to one side so that I could actually see where I was going. So I blacked that out to be able to stop that problem, and that'll probably stay as it is. But hey, look, it is what it is. It's a 250cc bike. If you get the 2000 and late 2009, early 2010 versions of this, they actually come with fuel injection. This one's got dual Mikuni carburetors on it. But I'll discuss all of this stuff with you guys at a later date. We're going to go and take this out for a test ride and just to be able to show you why I fell in love with the bike. One thing I will say is that as somebody who is 200 pounds and 6 foot, this seat, I'm right pressed up against the back here, and the plastic inside the seat rubs, just down in here, and the plastic inside the seat actually rubs on my tailbone. So I do find that after an hour I can't do anymore. I've had enough, and I'm ready to go home, or I'm ready to take a decent break. So I just thought, as a little bit of fun for $2,000, I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy this, and I've loved every second of it. Probably one of the first major things that I'm doing to it is it's getting some new tyres put on it very shortly. So unfortunately very few people actually make this type of tyre, and so I had to go with some Shinkos. I was looking to go with some nice white walls, but the Shinko is the only brand that actually does this combination of tyre sizes and has it matching. And as you can see in the back here, this one here has sustained some damage along here. Probably my fault from making these screws too long, and as it's gone over the suspension, it's just gouged the tyre. So these tyres are the original tyres on the bike. The bike itself has only done, whoa, what are we up to, 7,005 kilometres, and that's including the riding that I've done on it. So I'm pretty happy to you know, to go out and put some new rubber on it, and hopefully it'll make it a bit more grippy. As you can see here, I've got more wireless charging units here. I find that those are best because when you're riding the bike out and about, you can't always guarantee that you're going to be able to avoid weather, and I just want to make sure that I've got the best chance that I possibly can. This is my three-legged cat. This is Tabitha, and so like me, she got run over. She's quite vocal. Like me, she got run over, and she's only got 3 legs. So you may see more of her in my videos, because she doesn't leave me alone when I'm doing this stuff. So end of the day, wireless charging is best for rain. This bike I'm going to restore pretty much back to original factory condition eventually. I'll take you guys with me on that journey as I go and do that. But I just thought, for $2,000, 3.5 litres fuel consumption, that leaves the Suzuki V-Strom for me to be able to do my big adventures on. And if I'm just going around town or to the beach or something along those lines, I can just use this one, and I'm not chewing up tons and tons of gas to be able to go and do what I need to do. And the great thing is, this bike here cost me about $160 a year for insurance, and it's pretty much the cheapest insurance you can, the cheapest registration you can get for a motorcycle. So it's not costing me a bunch extra to be able to run this thing on a day-to-day basis. But anyway, that's me signing off at this point. Thank you so much for watching. And if you like this, click and subscribe. It really helps me out to be able to further the channel. I'd like to be able to upgrade my my camera at some stage, so the more that I get you guys watching, and the more that I get of the views and stuff, the more money I make to be able to go out and buy new equipment. We're going to be doing some adventures, and we're going to be going out and seeing some really cool things. We're going to be riding these bikes quite a bit over the next 12 to 18 months. We'll be doing some more test rides as well. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel. If you haven't seen my other videos, have a look. They are lengthy, but they're thorough. I take all of my adventure bikes on-road, off-road, take them through twisties, do all the things that you're going to be doing with your bike on a day-to-day basis. Each video is probably around about 45 minutes to an hour long. So check those ones out. And while you're doing it, have a coffee, grab yourself a bicky, and enjoy the scenery. Anyway, we'll catch up with you next time.